If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free, and you guessed it, it's free. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in just one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Pieces of a Nation.
Howdy doody.
What's up, buddy?
Wow, look at your background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's not a virtual background. It's
real.
Damn.
Yeah. That's right.
Wow. You're hardcore, man. Thank you for putting this luscious psychedelic Beatles-esque background.
Hey, man, it's audio only, but I wanted to make sure you're aesthetically pleased.
You know, I'm extremely pleased. I'm so pleased.
Oh, I'm pleased.
I'm exploding. I'm exploding right now, man. Look at you. You got a huge setup, man. This is awesome. I love it.
Thanks, man. It's fun to actually use this stuff.
I know, man. It's I'm glad you finally decided to come on. I know you've been super busy. Let me introduce you first, man, and we'll get into it. Sound good?
Sounds good.
I feel like I say this with every podcast, man. I got to change this up. Anyhow, let's go, man. Let's go. Hey, what's up? Let's start this again. This is all going into the podcast, man.
Having a great time already.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome back, Pieces of a Nation listeners. This is the podcast that makes you feel stuff like Hulk Hogan in the WWF. My name is Richard Chu. Follow us on Instagram at Pieces of a Nation. And while you're at it, please subscribe, rate, and review our show. It would totally help us out. Also, if you would like to support us, please support us on Patreon. It's only $5 a month. That's like the price of a cup of coffee a day, a burrito from Chipotle, a $5 toe massage, whatever it is. Please go to Patreon, www.patreon.com/Pieces of a Nation. And we would really, really appreciate it. Today, I'd like to introduce an amazing friend, an amazing man, an amazing son. I love this guy so much, man. I've known this guy forever, and he's an actor extraordinaire. He's a voice artist extraordinaire. I think I'm putting a lot of pressure on this guy already, but he's definitely worth it. I want to welcome Brandon Hernsberger. What's going on, man?
What's going on, my friend?
Yeah,
there's a lot of extraordinaires on there. I don't think I've earned all of those, but I'll take one.
That's the only adjective I know, really. That's I'm very word minimal. I'm not the smartest person in the room.
Word minimal. I've never heard that before. I'm going to use that too. If I'm feeling at a loss for words, I'm sorry. I'm a little word minimal right now. We can word minimal on this podcast, but
we'll hashtag that word minimal. I'm going to write this down. What's going on, man? How is life?
Life is good, man. Life's really good. I was just kind of like having a day of rest up until this point today. It's been a crazy last couple of days. But before we get into me, dude, I have to say congratulations on this podcast, man. Thank you. I have really, truly enjoyed and really gotten something out of every single episode so far. It's really incredible.
Wow. Thank you. I hope it stays that way. I hope it doesn't.
Well, I'll tell you, with you having me on, your trajectory now looks worse because if this podcast, and because everyone you've had on, right? Everybody, all your guests are these people with these amazing stories and struggles and achievements. I mean, you got a doctor, you got an Emmy Award winner, you've got people who writing books, So if this podcast is supposed to make you feel something, well, I'm feeling pretty fucking boring right now.
Well, listen, man, this is what I believe. I believe that each person has their own struggles and the way they overcome those struggles. And just because of a huge title like Emmy Award winner or cancer survivor or author, to me that, obviously just means, looking outside of ourselves. But what it really means is that each person should be highlighted because number one, we're all human beings, right? And number two, I think every voice has a connection to every other person. So, but I wanted to thank you, man, for those accolades, and
Well, they're well deserved. They're well deserved. It's it really is incredible. I mean, I know you do great stuff, but I was honestly, even though I had high expectations, they were exceeded.
Wow, man. I mean, that's coming. That's a lot coming from you, man. You definitely have high expectations. That's for sure.
Of everyone but myself. No.
Well, you do have an amazing background, so
that's true. Sorry, listeners. You can't see my background. I got to record once at Jim Henson's studios, and that place was so magical. Like every single square inch of that studio, every room, it's just like a creative person's dream. And the booth that I was doing voiceover, the booth they had me in was just like, it looked like what I imagined Johnny Depp's trailer looks like. It was wow. like tapestries and pillows, and just, it was the most comfy, just welcoming space. I mean, except for Johnny Depp. Hey, how you doing? So I was inspired when I made my own booth a long time ago. I bought some of these, like, it's like a tapestry, kind of like, your deadhead friend would have hanging on the wall, but, so that,
I mean, just to describe to the listeners what Brandon's background looks like. It literally looks like, okay, so it looks like a full shape of a peacock's tail. That's what it looks like to me right now.
It does. It's like a mandala sort of thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. I love it. I mean, the design is great. I'm not a, mandala mosaic like connoisseur, but this is really amazing. It's hypnotizing me right now. And I wish your face wasn't in front of this.
I can move.
No, please don't, man. I want to see your pretty face, man. Well, let's jump into that since we started, man. You talked about Jim Henson's, doing some voiceover at Jim Henson's studios. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about how you got into voiceover, and how long you've been doing it, what projects you've been doing, working on, and what sort of struggles or obstacles you've had to have and continue to have as a voiceover artist.
Yeah, cool. Well, I got my start doing voiceover back in Houston, where I grew up and where I went to college at University of Houston, and I did a lot of theater around there. And then just some of my friends, college friends, started getting work at this company that doesn't exist anymore. They've sort of rebranded, but it was called ADV Films. And they did English dubbing for anime, Japanese anime. And some of my friends just they continue to do this stuff. That's like their bread and butter. I was just lucky enough to get in a few, and I got one lead role, and I was so excited when they told me it was a lead, and it turned out my character was the quiet type. So
perfect.
I had like 2 or 3 lines every episode, but my character was in the whole thing, but he never said anything. But anyway, so that's how I started doing voiceover. I got a couple of commercial gigs. I did a local Toyota one. I think Roadrunner Online. I did a commercial there too. And then once I left Houston to go to Los Angeles, and I didn't do voiceover for the longest time after that. But I got back into it just because a friend of mine I was working with had an agent friend that she was leaving. And she said, hey, my agent is a voiceover agent too. And so I'll pitch you over to her. And so she did. She picked me up, and I started doing a little bit here and there again after that. From there, I started going to a fantastic meetup group in LA called the Voice Actors Network. That's just blown up And it's a friend of mine, also a Houston friend, who I never actually met until I moved to LA. His name's Ben Pronsky. Super voiceover extraordinaire. Like it's one of the Marvel. I believe it's on Netflix. He's the voice of Venom now.
Right.
It's awesome. He's just the greatest dude. And so he runs this place. It's a place where voice actors can meet up and work out and character stuff, not lifting weights. But you do it in front of industry, pros, like casting directors, all the people you kind of want to get in front of. So it's sort of like a class. It's kind of like a workshop group. And I just started getting right into that and fell in love with the group. Being an actor in LA it can feel isolating. I was going out for a lot of commercial auditions, and I always felt like sort of the real struggle or the real game or the real fight of the commercial audition.
You came out to LA originally to be an actor, or not really search for an actor, but it's sort of, did it
I can speak to how I came to LA. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But just to finish what I was saying, the commercial audition waiting room was the sort of the real fight. It's not the audition itself. It's all the other weird actors in there playing these weird psych out games. Don't
you love those, man? Those are fun, right?
That guy that always never says a word to anybody in the waiting room, but then as soon as he walks out of his audition, he looks to all the other guys waiting to audition and is like, "Hey guys, break a leg," or something like that. It's like, dude, you don't want me to break a leg. You want me to fail. You want me to fail so you get this. What are you doing? Anyway, this group, the Voice Actors Network, all these people, they're all at a level much higher than me. Most of these people are working voiceover actors who do not have a day job like I do. And they are the most welcoming, supportive group of actors I had yet encountered in LA. And it has a lot to do with Ben and Ben and the other people that run it. But I just felt like for the first time in Los Angeles, I was welcome again as an actor. I was wanted and I was sort of in my place, and like I said, it came from theater and, theater training, theater performance. It's bigger, they always got the direction, all right, guys, we go too big, do it loud, do it, just go over the top. We can always bring you down. And in film and all that, it's not like that. They're usually, whoa, bring it down, buddy. They want you small, they want you natural, but getting back into voiceover, especially character work and video games, I heard that bit of direction again from a casting director. They're like, "Hey, guys, just go in there, just give us all you got. We can always bring you down." And I was just like, ding, I know how to do that. So yeah. I just fell right into it. And I was just lucky enough to, go to one of those, and they had some reps from Vox Inc., one of the premier VO agencies in the world, and I just happened to have a great day and sent them an email the next day. And so they picked me up, and I've just, I felt so at home over there with those guys. And I've gotten some really cool work in video games and commercials. And it's pretty amazing. And especially with this COVID situation, I've been able to work from anywhere, and it hasn't really slowed down voiceover at all.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing, right? Where I feel like, this is a conversation I've had with many other creatives as well, especially in the entertainment industry. And I call it mother creative. and the mother creative, essentially, for me at least, I feel like she not only challenges you, but also tries to show you the way to highlight your talents in the direction that you have the highest potential of, right? So, for instance, when I first started acting, that's all I focused on, and I became super depressed. But until I decided to, have more eggs in the basket, if you will, and remind myself that, oh yeah, I also do this, I also do that, I also do. Why not just put it all together and see what sticks, right? And that's what it sounded like for you, where for a long while you were just focusing on, whether it was commercial acting or TV shows, or, I mean, it was just in front of the camera acting, right? But something that was sort of missing in your life was voiceover, which you're highly attuned to, and you fully understand it, and that sort of just fell into place, and everything else, like a domino effect, affected all areas of your life. Does that sound like?
Yeah. And you asked me earlier about my, some struggles, and I still struggle with playing myself, just being myself. And I never really had much luck in commercials, because honestly, they just want you to go in and be the regular person that you are, and don't come across in any way as an actor. They want real people, and I just, I never got into acting so I could be me. I got into acting to play anybody but me. And so with voiceover, it's all about what you sound like, and it's usually playing someone else. I still struggle in VO with commercials. Now they want, again, people who don't sound like voice actors, people who just sound like your friend in the cubicle across from you, or whatever. And I definitely struggle with that, because I don't know. I've had the too many theater teachers and all that, like, beating the bad enunciation out of me, and it's like, I wish I could just not enunciate so much or something. I don't know. But
yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still struggle with that, but I mean, if you want me to play anybody but me, I'm your man.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who aren't familiar with Brandon and Brandon's work, he's done a lot of really good voiceover stuff. Also, the first time I saw Brandon act was in a stage play in Glendale, like several years back. I think it was for a Shakespeare play. I forget what it was.
Yeah, it was much ado about nothing. Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, that's right. But I was watching the play, and man, as soon as Brandon came out, and I'm not just like, shooting a good energy at you, but I'm always shooting good energy at you. But
that is true.
Yeah. But when he first came out, and his presence was so mind blowing, that I just thought, wow, like that's power. Like his voice, his vocal range, his stage presence, just everything about it. I mean, something I shy away from, only because I don't have the guts to do stage. But I think as an actor, as an actor, it doesn't really matter if you do stage or film or voiceover. It's finding that balance of that medium in order to kind of get tuned into that frequency of what you're working on, right? But the reason why I'm bringing up your stage stuff is because, we're both good fans of, like, Gary Oldman. And I feel like you're like the next generation of Gary Oldman, because you love to play those characters, get into other characters, really, hide away into those characters and all that. Do you have a process when you develop characters like this? I know you're getting red right now. I don't even know why. Yeah. Stop drinking that whiskey, man. But yeah, I mean, is there a way you usually put those characters together? And how do you execute those characters?
Well,
what do you do?
I appreciate you saying that about seeing that play. I've forgotten you'd come to that. But
hey, man, that's what happens when you buy a chair from somebody.
That's right. we have to talk about that. I mean, Gary Oldman is my hero. I mean, he's I think the greatest living actor. Daniel Day-Lewis is a popular one too, obviously, for great reasons. But I mean, Gary Oldman's always been my sort of what I aspire to. I mean, to be compared to him is, I think, incorrect, but I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. I've always just been like a bit of a mimic. I would go. I grew up in the suburbs of Houston, but my folks are from rural northeastern Texas, and I would go up there and visit often. And sometimes they'd sort of drop me off with the grandparents and take some time off, and then come pick me up. And they would laugh because, like, for a day or so after that trip, I'd come back and I'd be talking about like all the oil in the road and the tars, and I would just have picked up the dialects, and I've just always done that, and I've always gravitated towards the other kids doing voices and quoting things, So I just felt, I just was incredibly fortunate enough to have parents who encouraged me to follow this stuff, and great teachers, like starting at least in middle school, fantastic teachers who just encouraged me and saw something in me, and I'm just so fortunate. I had nothing to do with that stuff.
I mean, I think that's a good foundation, because when you have good parents and good people around you to support you, I just finished watching the first episode of what is it called? It's directed by Dave Grohl, but it's a book documentary based off of his mom's book, I think, called Stage to Mom or something. I think it's on Paramount or some other streaming. I can't remember, but
Dave Grohl is like the King Midas, man. Everything he touches turns to gold. So I'm interested.
I mean, that guy really is amazing, man. But he started interviewing the first episode. He started interviewing the lead singer from Imagine Dragons, and sort of went through this whole process and integrating his life into it, Dave Grohl's life into it. The second episode, I think it's going to be, I forgot the artist's name, but he does a lot of like pop music and all that. So, but it's really fascinating because it's around the age of 12 to 13, according to Dave Grohl's mom, and of course you have a good support system and people, not necessarily not wanting you to fail, because it's hard to gauge if you go into the arts, statistically it's zero success.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good rounded off number.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So when you come into any industry, that's how it starts. And you have you can have all the hopes in the world. Sometimes you'll get there. Sometimes you won't.
Yeah. And if my folks had known more about that kind of stuff, they probably would have discouraged me. However, they, my dad, I grew up, my folks owned dry cleaners, and they owned several, and then they sort of pared it down to one that was doing quite well for a while. And, it's in one of the hottest places on earth, I think, Houston in the summertime, and in a dry cleaners with steam and no air conditioning. And, it just, they were just like, look, son, if you enjoy it, you go for it, because take it from us. We, you don't want to get stuck doing something you're not super enthusiastic about. So
right.
I think there was sort of like, learn from our mistakes, go, and then fast forward several years later to me doing like Shakespeare in the park in Houston, in front of thousands of people. And we're doing the Tempest, and I get cast as Ariel, like the head, I forget, like a sprite or fairy or whatever. Or spirit, and the costume is a really cool costume, but it's a silver spandex leotard, and my dad still brings that up. It's just like, oh, you just making me proud, son. I
love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I want to talk about that, the sort of like not conversion, what's the word I'm looking for, converting from being a Texan to a Californian for a long while, because I'm from Toronto. I came to LA at a super young age, but I've been here for about over 20 years and never really wanted, originally I was a musician, so I never really wanted to get into the acting world. So for me, it was, I've had my family here regardless, right? In terms of any type of struggle. But for you coming from, Houston and moving to LA, and it's, I want to talk about that struggle. And your process and your journey through the getting into the acting industry. Sure. And and all that, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I sort of naturally gravitated into the acting industry in Houston, just from, I was doing it all the way through school. I was the lead role in the first grade Christmas play, and I just kind of kept going. Middle school, high school. My first year of college, I decided I'm not going to do something as frivolous as acting. I'm going to do something where you can make some real money. Like, I'll do theatrical lighting. So
I can't even picture that, man. I can't even picture that.
Because I like doing the kind of tech theater stuff. I'd run the soundboard or whatever. I love the techie type stuff. But I quickly learned that what I really like to do is just, kind of get my hands dirty and run cables and hang lights and focus and stuff. But the real career in that direction is design, like, say, scenic design. And I have no talent for that. I'm not an image person. I'm not in that way artistic. So I was like, all right, maybe not this. But I just had several shows where I'm hanging lights or I'm running a spotlight or something, and I'm just watching those actors in this play, whatever it is, and I'm just thinking, man, God, that looks like fun. Or the typical actor thing. Oh man, I could have killed that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I decided, all right, I'm gonna audition next year, my sophomore year. I'm gonna audition for something, and it just kind of, sure enough, I auditioned for the first play, and I get cast, and it was just like, yeah, this is what I'm meant to do here, and again, right then, an amazing teacher just saw something in me, kind of came up to me personally, said, I think you're great. I want you to take some of my classes. And I was like, okay. And she became one of the greatest teachers I've ever had, and a mentor and a friend. And so that was just, it was so easy, basically, in Houston. I would just, anytime I would, all I had to do was show up, and I was given an opportunity. And from then it was just like, okay, now what are you going to do with it? Now let's do the work. And that's where kind of it got challenging, and I didn't always kill it, but I was always given the opportunity. Fast forward to coming out to LA. I was doing quite well in Houston. I was working full time in the big theater downtown, name badge, health insurance, all that stuff. And but I fell in love, and so I came out to LA to be with my girlfriend, and that to me seemed like the most obvious thing to do. Like, what's more important than love? And I'm still. Even though we're not together anymore, I'm still super glad that I made that move and did that thing, and chased love. You know what I mean? Because I think that is, obviously the most important thing out there. So coming to LA was like, I think of it now as like my time in the desert. Because literally for years, I felt super unfulfilled, directionless, lost. Just like I was not getting opportunities. I was showing up as much as I could, and no one seemed to be interested. But I felt really lucky to get that play that you saw. That was a cool opportunity. But man, it just felt like the wrong place for me. And it continued to feel that way for years and years and years, and until I really found voiceover. And it was like, okay, here's a kind of a smaller little subgroup of acting where I don't know, just whatever I'm bringing to the table, whatever I'm bringing to the party, it's wanted here. It's not wanted in the commercial on camera world. It's just, but it's somehow it's clicking here. And so my whole trajectory had been just what I call like, Matthew McConaughey just wrote that book. I couldn't even get past the first chapter. It was so funny. Just the way he writes and narrates, but it's called Green Lights. And I can only imagine it's like, I'm just getting green lights here, green lights there. Like I'm going down the road, green lights, got to follow the green lights. But, I've always said like thumbs up from the universe. Right. I've always just chased the thumbs up from the universe. And, but I just started getting all these thumbs down, and I was not used to that. And I'm so grateful that I had those years of struggle and rejection, because it made me a better actor. It made me a better person. I got for the
first time. How so?
Well, when you go from first grade to post college with everyone going, great, yep, you're in, cast, lead role, whatever, we love you. You kind of stop working on yourself. You kind of get to a point where you're like, yeah, no, I got this, guys, And I don't think I've ever really been fallen into the arrogance trap too much, but I have been a little big for my britches before, and especially in that time, and in that, when things are just really cooking, and to come out and just be like, nope. I mean, that was just so, it just forced me to kind of grow and redefine like what, going back to what you're saying about like, what were you saying about kind of like getting, in so many words, like getting your identity kind of wrapped up with acting, and like saying, oh, I don't just do acting, I do other things too. I'm other things besides this. I think that's just so much of a struggle for probably lots of people who are career centric. Getting your identity wrapped up with your career is totally understandable. It's probably necessary to some degree, but I think it's maladaptive, or it's not healthy in the long run. And I started to finally really see success after that period of the desert, once I truly started to disengage my ego and my identity from the work itself. So I like to think of it now as not as I am an actor, but I act. I act when called upon to do so. I seek out opportunities to act, but I am not running around in my head and in the world saying I'm an actor, because I'm more than that,
I mean, yeah, that makes sense, because when you sort of myopically put yourself into that box, right? It's honestly, it's such a small-minded thing. Not small-minded in a negative way, but I mean small-minded meaning like you feel like you're trapped and this is the only thing that you can do. Right. But I also feel like this is something that you addressed a little bit, but it's humility. I think when people start to embrace humility in their lives, no matter what category or what job area you're in, when we can all have humility, that's when things start to open up, right? And we start to not just embrace ourselves, but also embrace other people around us, because it's not easy. Being in an industry like this is not easy. Not saying that going for your doctor's degree or becoming a lawyer or a dentist isn't easy, but it's slightly a little different because there is a
laid
pathway
out for you. Exactly.
There's a pathway.
The hurdles are high, but they are at least visible. You know what mountain you have to climb, even if it's like not everybody makes it to the top. At least there it is in front of you. And there, you start with the first step, you move along the path, right?
Right.
But acting or this kind of thing, being an artist in any way, and not that I define myself as an artist, but a creative pursuit like this in a freelance type work environment. Yeah, it's just like you just kind of have to keep staying prepared, working on yourself, showing up wherever you can, and it's like like a when you learn to be a pilot. Not that I have, but I'm kind of fascinated with if I could, once I get where I can afford to do so, I'd like to get my pilot's license. But you get like instrument rated, like where you basically they put like a hood on you so now you can't see out of the windows, and you basically have to fly the whole plane just by the instruments themselves. And that's kind of how this feels, except without the instruments too.
Right. It's like Luke Skywalker in the not the first one, but the number 4, the 1970s Star Wars, where he's taking off the computer and you hear Ben Kenobi like, "Trust a force."
That's right.
Luke. Right.
Totally.
You have to trust a force, man.
And
that's
you, sir, are my Ben Kenobi.
Oh wow, man.
You're like my Ben. You're like my Ben Kenobi / Tyler Durden / I don't know, like Drop Dead Fred, imaginary friend, all rolled into one.
What's wrong with you, man?
You're like the you're like the uninhibited version of myself I wish I could be.
Oh man, get out of here, dude. I wish I could be you, man, and have your skill and talent, man. But that's where the humility comes in, right? Where we can really sit down and appreciate not just our own skills and talents, but we can appreciate other people's skills and talents. And that's where we, really start to understand that, where we are an orchestra of beings in the art world, in the industry world. I want to jump into a little bit more your struggles and how you overcame them, and how you mentioned growth and really educating yourself. Like, how did you get through those times of struggle and desert darkness, if you will, right? How did you manage to get out of that?
Well, I didn't always. sometimes a lot of the attempts to get free or get past were not successful. But I guess if I could sort of find a common denominator of any time I did have success in moving past a struggle or something like that, it would have to be like getting out of my own way. That really the only things that were truly holding me back or causing the struggle were internal. My sort of obsessive negative self-talk, that just feeds that sort of, you're out there, you're out there auditioning. You're constantly, it's like auditioning all the time. It's just like going on endless job interviews, just all the time, and when you don't ever get a no. Sometimes a no is actually appreciated. You usually just get just nothing. You never hear
silence,
you
radio silence,
or you get nothing.
Yeah.
It's just that can wear on you, and it's not good for your ego, who wants to feel supported and encouraged and all that. Of course, that's where like my amazing girlfriend / wife at the time was always there for me with that. Great friends like yourself to just, it's so fun to like go have coffee with you and just talk about this stuff. Man, just nothing helps you get through something like somebody else going through it too, or having been through it recently or something, like I just go to YouTube. Like if I have a certain problem, I just go to YouTube and there's somebody there telling me, yeah, I just went through this. Here's how I dealt with it. It's just so great.
YouTube's my best friend right now.
Dude, it's fantastic. I learned how to settle this microphone crap up on YouTube. But like your previous guest, Zoe, like her story will get that. I guarantee you that will get someone down the line. That will keep someone from hurting themselves, or that will give someone the strength and the bravery to like come out to their family. She needs to just keep telling her story as much as she can. So, because we're all going through something, and we always feel like we're the only person going through it when we are going through it. you know?
Right.
So that's had a huge impact on me, like, and gotten me through so many of those things. It's just having someone who gets it, you know, whether I'm talking to them or I just hear them maybe on a video or something. You know, a couple of books have been very, very helpful. You know, I'm not a huge self-help guy, or personal development. I'm not sure what the word is, but one book came out not too long ago, and it really spoke to me. And I got the audiobook version of it because I got it free from the library, and it's called Unfuck Yourself. And I was like,
"Fuck yourself." I've heard of that one.
I like the title so far, and then I started, and it's like, you know, it's this dude with this amazing Scottish accent, and I was like, who is this voice actor? Oh, this is the guy that wrote it. Oh, cool. This guy, Gary John Bishop, I believe, and he's like, I'm gonna teach you how to unfuck your life, and you're gonna feel fucking, you know. And it was just like, this is not a fucking self-help book. I fucking hate self-help books, you know. And he's like, you're fucking up your life. And I'm like, yeah, this is my guy, you know. Not that I'm a masochist and I like abuse, but it had none of the flowery kind of, you know,
straight up shit. Yeah.
The secret, like, I get it. I think the secret, the whatever they're trying to get across, I agree, but I can't take it. I can't listen to you. I can't read this book. It's too something. And this one was not like this. So, you know, the long and the short of this book is just like, your negative self-talk is what is holding you back. So I'm like, yep, that's me. And he basically just gives you like he calls them 7 personal assertions, 7 little sentences or phrases to just remind yourself when you're feeling down. And one of the 7 always comes in handy. And it's, I am willing. I repeat this to myself every day, and now I can't remember. No, I'm willing. So I'm willing to do whatever. And you can also flip that around and be like, I am not willing. And that's come in handy for me quite a lot. You know, I am not willing to blank. And that forces you to change, you know, to get moving on something. Like, I am not willing to, I don't know, live in this crappy apartment anymore. Well, that gets you going, you know. Second one is, I am wired to win. So sounds kind of like, ooh, but basically, if I'm wiring my brain to go, I'm a loser, I'm not going to work again, I'm blah blah blah. Well, guess what? I'm going to win at that. So it's all about your wiring. So just wire your brain differently. You'll start winning at that, because whatever, you are wired to do something right now, and you are winning at it.
I mean, there's also a stigma. There's also a stigma to the word winning and lose, right? Like, that's such an 80s stigma, where I feel like that decade was the most atrocious use of the word, because people were like, if you're not a winner, then you're a fucking loser. And I'm like, why would you say that to somebody, man? That's so disheartening.
That's such a, and what a like ridiculously binary way to look at things that doesn't reflect reality at all.
Yeah, totally.
But then the next one is, I got this. And anytime I have a session in VO, like I write it on a Post-it and I put it on my iPad or whatever script I'm reading on. It just says, I got this. Because every time, I mean, I've lost count of the amount of voiceover sessions I've done, and 99% of them have gone great. But every time I get like, I just get so in my head about it, how it's all going to go wrong, how I'm not going to be good enough. And it's like, oh, wait, no, I got this. I've gotten it 99% of the other times. I got this, you know? And basically, I won't go through the whole book, but it's an awesome book. It's just really, it was just the kind of thing I needed to hear. And the fact that it was this Scottish guy, like that, I don't, but my family comes from a lot of that part of the world. And it almost felt like an ancestor in my ears, just telling me this, you know, buck up, you got this, you know. It's just kind of cool. And then another one, a big one for me recently, in the past few months, has been, 2 books. How to Stop Drinking the Easy Way by, oh my God, I know his name. It's gone for me now. It'll come to me later. But another book after that, which was partly inspired by it, called This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. What this did was help me just redefine my relationship with the particular drug of alcohol, with ethanol alcohol. And it's just always been something that's been a part of my life, and I never even really thought twice about. And you and I have definitely had some fun times drinking and
our share of fun. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and for me, drinking is always, it's just always been, there. Like if it's a special occasion or, a date or an anniversary or Christmas or whatever, it's just booze is always just a part of that. Any kind of family get together, it's just always this thing that you just take for granted. And
well, it's also like a pastime, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's woven into our culture, right?
Yeah, you have nothing to do. Hey, let's go drink.
Yeah,
let's go grab a drink.
It's the perfect. I mean, especially with COVID locked, it's like, well, now I've got laid off. I was waiting tables. Well, I got laid off. Hey, what are we gonna do? Let's drink. Yeah. So anyway, and I've had some great times. But I've known for the past few years that I'm just not doing myself any favors with this stuff. It's not really helping. And I just had one too many, just the next morning where I'm not, I've had hangovers, good Lord. Yes. But I'm not hungover, but it's like I'm an iPhone battery and I just charged it up to 85%. And that's how I start my day, and it's just with acting, with the, the constant sort of mental game. You're always trying to keep yourself positive. You need all the energy you can get. You need your voice in good health. Just alcohol was just knocking all of those little categories down a peg. And I just couldn't, I would try to stop or try to cut back, and it was just too hard. It's just there all the time, and but this book just it helped me redefine my relationship with it and really see it for what it is. And it's this it's a drug. It's an addictive drug, period.
It is.
And I was in some real way addicted to it. And I was like, oh, because I smoked cigarettes in high school and a little bit through college. And like I told you about my sophomore year when I decided to get into acting, that's when I decided to quit smoking. I was like, well, if I'm going to really be an actor, I can't smoke. I need lung capacity. So it was this great reason to cut that out of my life. And just this book, nothing floofy about it. It's a lot of science, a lot of research. And it just kind of look, it's like, you don't have a problem. I think AA has a bit of an issue with this book because it's a little not quite down the AA line, but it's like, you're not this person with this brokenness, with this addiction problem. You're just consuming a substance that is addictive. Therefore, you are addicted to it. And if you stop consuming it, you will no longer be addicted to it. It's just that simple. It sounds so simple, but it's like, I didn't think about it that way. And so now I just, it's been over 2 months now and I don't miss it. I'm around it all the time still. And my whole relationship with it has changed. And that, talk about me getting out of my own way. I feel like I'm on antidepressants now. Partly because I'm not consuming a depressant on a regular basis. Right. But I just everything I kind of need is back now in my head. I'm not going down that negative rabbit hole all the time now. I'm not, having to drink 3 cups of coffee to get the energy to go do a voiceover or whatever, or an audition. It's been such a simple and such a radical change for me lately that it's just I can't recommend that book enough. And
alcohol and all other stimulants or depressants, I've had to change the relationship with those and look at those as a luxury item in my life, right? Mm-hmm. For years, that's how I learned to shift. Although I'm not saying the shift was easy, it took me time to get to the point of realizing that, yes, this is a luxury item, right? And for me, that's the easiest way to look at it. When you were talking about like relationships, we all have relationships with everything, right? Whether it's exercising or drinking or spending time with the family or spending time alone with nature, whatever it is, it's these little connections that we've created in our mind. And I love that you mentioned relationships, because it really is. It comes down to how we relate to this thing or the subject or this person or my environment, right?
Yeah, I would agree with you, and even take it another step and say that we are only who we are in relationship to other people, or are in our relationship to other things. Like you can't really separate me from my environment, from the relationships of things around me. Like, it's getting a little, it's almost like esoteric or woo-woo or spiritual, but like, I really don't think that I am a separate thing from my environment.
Well, it's not woo-woo or esoteric. I mean, in a way you can categorize it as esoteric, but it's the norm. It's how each human being is wired, regardless if you're negative or positive, depressed or happy. We connect to everything. That's how our brains are wired as human beings, man.
Mm-hmm.
If we need to survive, I mean, we have a survival source in our brain where we have to. There's got to be a minimum where we can attain that we can survive, right? And that's really the lowest part of our, I guess, lizard brain or snake brain, you would call it. It's, to run from things, survive, period. Right. So, I mean, yeah, I definitely don't consider that woo woo or out of this world, because we all connect to something. And,
well, I guess I feel like it gets a little woo woo, because I start to,
with your virtual background. Virtual background.
This is a real background, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll give you a virtual one if you want. Oh, I just mean like in defining like who I am. Like, I cannot define myself without also including every relationship I have with every other sentient being. The relationship I have with the air in this room. Like, I don't feel like I am a separate entity from that,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get, I totally get. I mean, I think bottom line, like we're all spiritual people. I mean, sometimes we just don't take the time to develop or nurture that spiritual, soulful side, because it really just comes down to your soul. What makes you happy.
I think a lot of people walk around thinking they're one thing and everybody else is something else, and that they are sort of immune to their environment, or they chose all the things that made them, that they're not somehow like running on an operating system that was already there. And they are running on, and everyone around them is running on, and they will teach their children the same operating system. Like nothing helps you kind of, and I forget this all the time, but nothing shakes you out of it like going to a different place. Like, I was in LA, now I'm spending some time with my folks here in rural Texas. So going from Los Angeles, Hollywood to Burton, Texas, population 300. We're not even in the town. Like, we're outside of that.
Desert. You're back in the desert.
I'm back in a different desert. That's right. But, all this political stuff, it's so obnoxious. And so, it gets you fired up, and we all have an opinion. And, but man, it's just, I wish everybody could go spend some time and just go spend some time in a different environment with the people, like, cause I am definitely not a fan of Donald Trump, but so many people out here are. And when I'm sitting in my LA bubble with all my friends who basically think like me, not everybody, but most, I'm like, how could you, ugh. And then you come out here and it's like, oh, well, I mean, I don't agree with, they're not winning any arguments with me. I'm not any closer to liking the guy, but being out here, it's like, how could you not? You have no other choice in this mental operating system that's going on out here. It's just a different reality that people live in out here.
What do you think? What do you think that reality is? Because it's juxtaposition, right? You have the progressive liberal in LA, and then you have the Republican conservative in Texas, right? Most at least, right? Because I know there's a good amount of liberals there too.
Oh, definitely. Now and there's definitely conservatives in LA too. They just
absolutely.
There's a majority of voters on one side in one place and on the other side.
I mean, that's what makes a state blue or red, right? But what do you think the mentality is, and how is your reaction towards that to adjust to it?
Well, I mean, my reaction is just I try to stay curious and I try to stay humble, and I just try not to get up my own ass about my own thoughts, because I've always kind of tried to lean this way. It's just like, yes, I have strong opinions, but I really feel like if you're going to have strong opinions, you better be ready to follow that opinion, whatever it is, up with the phrase or the sentence, but what the fuck do I know? I could be totally wrong.
That's right.
That's the humility you're talking about. Like, I just feel like we all are running with limited information, and we are doing the best we can and trying to make moral decisions and trying to make ethical decisions and trying to live the best life and make a better world. And but you don't know everything. And even if you're an avid reader and you're reading a lot of, or watcher of news and all that, you're not getting it all. And, everyone knows that everyone's in a bubble, a thought bubble, and you just have to stay on your own toes. Don't believe everything you think. That's how I just sort of laugh. I have to sort of laugh at it. I mean, out here, luckily people are getting, vaccinated, COVID's going away, blah, 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 slowly but surely. But out here, you go to the grocery store and it's been about 50-50, people wearing masks. Definitely now there are a lot of people who aren't. And it's usually, almost 100% of the time, it's white people who are the, it's the kind of women, men too. It's the men with the cowboy boots and the cowboy hats, and you ain't going to ding ding. You ain't going to tell me. And by the way, I love that Texan attitude. It's a real kind of like, don't fuck with me, man. I miss that. I'm so glad to be around some of that. But it's like, I saw this lady in the grocery store the other day. It was like, she just had this t-shirt on that. What did it say? It said, "Underestimate me and face the consequences." It's like, man, getting through the day just must be, it's just a battle every day, just like, who dares underestimate me?
I love that.
It's this confrontational kind of thing. It's a Texan thing, I think. At least it's more so than California. There's a lot more sort of feeling at the mercy of things in California. Like when I started waiting tables out there, when I first moved there, I worked at 4 and 20 pie shop in the Valley,
which is closed.
A little diner. I know it's closed, poor place. But I get all these like people and they come in and just, can you turn the air up a little bit? It's a little cold. My eggs are too, can you just, everything's just so kind of like out of my control. And all I really have power to do is just sort of whine about it, And, and that's not everybody in California, but I definitely didn't hear that out here. And out here, it's like, well, fuck you, man. I'll, don't even try to, it just, I'm not trying to caricaturize people. I actually admire this quality. There's a certain like, fuck you. I'll deal with it. I'll do it. There's DIY. Out here, like people where we're at, like you don't have a water company. You dug your own. Well, you hired someone to dig a well for you. You got a generator if shit goes down. You're just doing more for yourself out here, and people are fiercely proud of that, and you see why people love the idea of like small government. It's just like, look, I'm good, stay at of course I think that again they are mistaken in thinking that they are some sort of entity in and of itself, an island that doesn't need anybody. That's bullshit. They are just as part of their environment and inextricable from it and dependent on so many other factors around them to get through their day. It's like, yeah, you may be all on your own, but you do shop at Walmart, right? Like, like that shit comes from China. And so, maybe we shouldn't just go over there and give them the middle finger, maybe,
You're welcome, by the way.
Thank you. I mean, thank you. Jeez, what would I do without you, man?
You did buy a chair for me, so.
Okay, we got to mention that. Okay, so I met Richard. You're one of my first. I mean, you think you were my. So I moved out there, like I said before, to be with my girlfriend, and she had been out there for at least a year, and she's an extremely gregarious, likable person. So she had all these friends, and so many of them are still today my friends. And you were, I think, the first friend I made on my own. And it's because you had this crappy office chair listed on Craigslist, and I needed a chair.
That was the title of the chair, by the way. Crappy office chair.
Like, ooh,
who wants it?
Yeah, price is right. It was like $25. So I go over there ready with $25 in hand, and we just start talking, kind of shooting the shit. And then it comes time to pay for the chair, and you reverse haggle me. You're like, you listed it for 25. You're like, give me 20. Like,
no. To be honest, yeah, I was at the point. I was like, dude, yeah, $20, and you were like, no, it's $25. I go, no, it's $20, and you were trying to convince me to pay more. I go, dude.
Well, what seriously? I should have been doing was like, why are you in such a hurry to get rid of this chair? Where has this chair been? Has it been tested for STDs? I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know this chair. Why are you trying to give it away for less?
Dude, it was a great chair, man.
it served me very well. And I did get rid of it and did get a nicer chair eventually. But I did take a picture of it. I took a picture of it. And
did you really?
I believe, yeah. I gave it to you. I photoshopped a picture of that chair and into a Renaissance painting of a literal stairway to heaven.
Oh, right.
And I put it in a frame and gave it to you. I know you have it somewhere.
I think I have it somewhere.
Misty's very organized. I'm sure she put it in a safe deposit box somewhere.
Safe deposit box?
Yes.
Wow, there's a safe deposit box out there that I don't know about, man. I'm fucked.
It's probably better that way.
Yeah, but yeah, that's such a good story too, because I remember at your wedding, people were coming up to me and people that I've never really met before and asking me how.
Well, that's what you asked. How do you know the person who's having the thing?
I sold them a chair. What? That's how you guys met?
Were you working a furniture store or what?
No, Craigslist, man. One of our friends, because you posted something on Facebook and about knowing. We've been friends for I don't even know how long we've been friends for, but a long time. And on your comment on your post, you put like how we met, and one of our friends, Walker, who had no idea. We've known him forever, and he was like,
I didn't
"That's
know
how
that.
you guys met." Like,
yeah.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm really grateful for selling you that chair, man, because
me too, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we've had so many good times.
Absolutely. Continue to. We're having one right now.
That's right, man. It just continues to grow and layer and layer and layer.
Oh, dude, I really appreciate you too, because I mean, you've been just one of the most supportive, encouraging, uplifting people in my life. And we've been through good times and bad times, and I mean, I'm just happy to be a piece of your nation.
Ooh, Brandon, you are literally are definitely not word minimal, man.
Maximum word.
That's right, man. So if there is one thing, I mean, I want to continue this conversation. I'm sure we can. I want you back when your next big thing and your next phase in your life, because you're definitely experiencing the beginning stages of your new life, right?
Yes. I do feel like, I'm definitely in just one of those moments, we all have them, where it's like the previous chapter has ended, the page is turned. It's like, okay, now where are we going to go now? Yeah, for sure.
So I definitely want to have you back. But in the meantime, if there's one thing you could say to the listeners, what's that one thing?
Oh man, I wasn't prepared for this. I don't know, man. I don't feel like I'm qualified to give any kind of advice, but I don't know. I guess all I can say is just stay on your, not stay on your toes, like stay on your own toes. I don't know, like keep, I don't know. Fine. I guess it's to keep looking inward. Keep looking inward for the things that you would like to change outwardly, there's a lot that can be changed. There's a lot of things that need fixing in the world, but we all have things that need fixing in ourselves too. And I just feel like the only person you can be married to someone and never really change them in any way. I mean, really the only being you have any real control over is yourself. And if you're not given the proper amount of time to kind of always working on that, and I think again, don't just stay humble in your opinions of things. Like I really feel like there's power and value in questioning the things that you think and the concepts that you are labeling everything in the world with. I mean, your previous guest, Emmy Award winner, God, what's her name?
Marbina Jaimes.
Yes. I mean, what a success story. Like how much further back in her life would she be if she was believing the bullshit of like, I'm a minority and I'm a woman, so I'll never make anything in my life, but she refused to accept that, but that's, I'm sure, a huge reality for some people. I mean, people who, people who are bad spellers, like may never try to do A, B, or C that they may be really great at just because they may not be good at spelling, or just anything like that. Like just constantly, I don't know. I think definitions and concepts are always getting in our way. We're always trying to like tidily put everything in a bow and oh no, you're like this, I'm like this, that's like that. Like maybe it's not, So I don't know. Keep questioning everything. I guess that's the best summation of my, whatever, this 5-minute rambling.
No, I mean,
but just keep questioning everything. It's Socrates. The only thing you really can truly be sure of is that you don't really know anything, and there's so much more to learn that way. Stay scientific. Keep probing, and especially your own thoughts and your own opinions, because nobody's got it all right.
Yeah, I love that. That's definitely advice to be heeded, and will be heeded. That's a really good point. It's a good reminder too, because at a certain point, people can get too confident and forget to really look within themselves and reflect who they are. and it comes back to humility and also being kind to other people, and knowing what your environment is too. So no, it's well said, man. Well said. If there, do you have a social that people can reach out to you, kind of just a chit chat, maybe just talk, because I believe the reason why I ask these questions is because I think it's important for anyone that resonating with this conversation, with this dialogue, to reach out to, the guest and, start a different branch of a support group or a community. And, this is the best way to have your community grow. So I feel like that's important. So,
yeah, sure. I'm not a big social media person. I kind of really don't like Facebook, but I tolerate Instagram, and I use that pretty frequently. So at Brandon Hernsberger on Instagram, and I guess they would find out the spelling because they would read it on the podcast.
Yeah, they'll read it, but let's spell it out anyway.
It's at BrandonHearnsberger.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. Brandon, dude, this has been an amazing coffee hour.
Yes, it has been. I had a nice cup of coffee here.
I wish I can drink coffee right now, man. I really want some coffee, but yeah, man, I definitely want to catch up with you. We'll bring you back, just to see what your next chapter is all about. And
sounds great, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, this is great. This is a great dialogue, man. I appreciate it.
This was a nice break for your audience. For after all this excellence, it'd be a nice breather.
Stop it. Stop it, man. This is a great conversation, man. Come on,
I'm playing.
Don't make me lose listeners.
No, I'm just doing a little self-deprecation here. That's all.
I'm just kidding.
It's my brand.
I'm just kidding. It's your brand on.
Yeah. My brand on. Ooh, yeah. Something there.
Yeah, we are not word minimal anymore.
All right, I'll shut up so you can wrap this up.
All right, cool. Sounds good, man. I'll talk to you in a bit, man. And peace out.
Peace out.